Alright, let's go ahead and start with section 2.3, and this is about linear functions and slope. The slopes are very important, mostly to find the relation between any two things if there's a linear relation between them. And we will be doing more projects in class, so you'll have a better idea of what the slopes are. But first, let's go ahead and see what a slope is. A slope is simply rise over run. So any line would have a slope. If the line is, depending on how the line is again, if the line is horizontal or if the line is vertical, if the line is increasing, if the line is decreasing. Now the basic formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, because on your x and y axis, the x-axis always stands for your run. Are you going left and right? The y-axis is always your rise. So slope is simply rise over run, and this would be the formula for slope. So now find the slope of a line passing through -2 and 1 and +2 and 2. So here my x1, I'm going to rewrite this one, -2 over 1 and +2 over 2. This is my x1, y1, x2, y2. The slope formula is rise over run, that is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 2, y2, y1, and then y2 minus y1. I'm going to write my x2, write my x1, and then it's a minus sign in between. I always want students to write the x1's y1, y2, x1, x2, and then put in a negative sign in between, because that's when you will not make a mistake with your signs. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Negative off, negative becomes a positive, and this becomes a 2 plus 2, that is 1 over 4. Write the point slope form of the equation. This is the point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. We're trying to write the equation of a line. Alright, so now the slope m is -3, and again the slope is represented as m here. I forgot to rewrite it. So m is the slope. Slope m is -3, and the point x1, y1 is -2, -3. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Y, I'm going to plug in my y1 first. Y1, what's the sign in between them? Minus, is equal to m x. Let me plug in my x1. What's the sign in between them? Minus. Now I'm going to go ahead and work this out. Negative times negative becomes a positive. So y plus 3 is equal to negative times negative becomes a positive times x plus 2. So I have y plus 3 is equal to negative 3x minus 6. I subtract 3 on both sides. I end up with y is equal to negative 3x minus 9. A line passes through the point -3 and 2, 4. Find the equation of the line in point slope form and then solve for y. There's so many ways of doing it. You can use point slope form, and they ask us to solve for y. That means they want the final answer in slope intercept form. So first, remember, to find the equation of any line, you need to start with slope. Slope is the first thing. I need to find my m, and I need one of the points. So it doesn't matter which point I choose, so I need one of the points. So let me go ahead and find the slope first. How do I find my slope? Did they give me the slope? No. But can I find the slope? Yes. How? They gave me 2 points here. What are my points? x1, y1, x2, y2. What is the slope formula? y2 minus y1. y2, y1, and a minus sign, over x2, x1, minus sign. And now when I go ahead, negative off, negative becomes a positive. This becomes a 5. Negative off, negative becomes a positive. This becomes a 5 over 5. The slope is 1. Now that I have my slope, I'm going to use point slope formula to find the equation of a line. Now the question is, which point should I use? It doesn't matter, you can use any point because both of these points lie on the line, so both of them have to satisfy the equation of a line. So you can either pick -3 and -1, or you can pick 2 and 4. I like to stick with +1, so I'm just going to pick the point 2 and 4. And my slope is 1. M is equal to 1. Now plugging into this equation, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. This is my x1, this is my y1. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So y minus 4 is equal to x minus 2. Y is equal to x minus 2 plus 4, that is equal to x plus 2. Now you might be asking me, will you get the same equation if you choose the other point? Let's go ahead and try it out. Y minus, remember my x1 is not 4 now, it is -1. 1 times x minus, my x1 is not 2, it's -3. So I have y plus 1 is equal to x plus 3. Y is equal to x plus 2. See, it doesn't matter which one you pick, you still end up with the same equation. And again, to find the equation of a line, you need the slope and a point. You find the slope from the 2 points, and then you plug it into the point slope form. Graph f of x is equal to 3/4 over x minus 2. Now this one looks like an equation of y is equal to mx plus b. When I compare it, this is my b and this is my m. So my m here is 3/4, and the b, the y-intercept, is -2. So I can graph it so many ways. I'm just going to draw. So my y-intercept is -2. So if this is my y-intercept, this is -1, -2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and -1, -2, -3. So starting with my y-intercept, remember to graph a line you need 2 points. I have 1 point, which is my y-intercept. I need another point. How do I get to my other point? Do I have the slope? Yes. What is the slope? 3/4. That means rise over run. So starting from -2, I'm going to rise 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to run 4 units, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my next point. So I'm simply going to draw a line. And again, it might not be accurate, so you guys have to, because it's not a perfect, I didn't put it perfectly. So my first point is -2. My first point is 0, -2, and my next point is 4 and 1. I use the y-intercept, and I use the slope. All right. And again, to graph a line, you need only 2 points, and you have only 1 point, and you have a slope. So you're going to use the slope to find another point. Once you find this point, you're simply going to graph your line. A horizontal line is given by an equation y is equal to b, where b is the y-intercept of the line, and the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Let's go ahead and figure it out why. Let me use this example here. Y is equal to 3. What does that mean? It means no matter what value I take off for x, y is always going to be 3. So 3, 3, 3, 3. You can take a couple of values for x. 0, 1, 2, -1. Plot this on your line and you will see this is going to be your line. Right? So that's why y is equal to 3 is a horizontal line passing through 3. The y-intercept is going to be 3. Now, how do I find the slope? Remember what slope is. Slope is rise over run. So let's go ahead and write that out. Rise over run. Let me go ahead and see if this has any run. Okay, this line has a run. And what about the rise? This is a horizontal line. Does it have a rise? No. So the rise is 0. I don't care what the run is. If the numerator is 0, the entire thing is going to be 0. Hence, the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Alright, now let's go ahead and graph this one. Y is equal to -2. That means it's a horizontal line passing through -2. And that is going to be my line. Vertical line. Let's go ahead and look at the vertical lines. A vertical line is given by equation x is equal to a, where a is the x-intercept and the slope is undefined. Let's see how. So no matter what my y is going to be, when I say x is equal to a, x is always going to stay constant. So -3, -3, -3, -3. Take a couple of values for y. 0, 1, 2, and -1. Go ahead and plot this. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a vertical line. And now let's go ahead and see the slope. Rise over run. Does this vertical line have a run? It only has a rise. It doesn't have a run. That means the run is 0. And it doesn't matter what I have on the top. If I see the denominator is 0, the whole thing is going to be undefined. Hence, the slope of a vertical line is undefined. How do I graph a vertical line? When I see x is equal to 5, that means it's a vertical line passing through 5. I'm just going to say this is 5, and it is passing through 5. Alright, find the slope and the y-intercept of the line whose equation is 2x plus 3y minus 18. Remember, when you're finding the slope and the y-intercept, y has to be by itself. That means it has to be in the form y is equal to mx plus b. So my first step is to change it to the form y is equal to mx plus b. It's in a standard form. So I'm going to take -2 to the other side and 18 to the other side as well. So now I have 3y is equal to 18 minus 2x. Divide with 3. I would divide each term with 3. So I have y is equal to 18 over 3 is 6 minus 2 over 3 x. And I know that the coefficient of x is my slope and the constant is my y-intercept. Alright, the next one. Graph using intercepts. So how do I find my x-intercept? First, I'm going to find x-intercept. How do I find x-intercept? I plug y as 0. So 6x minus 2 times 0 minus 12 is equal to 0. So 6x minus 12 is equal to 0. Remember, when you plug y as 0, you need to find the x value. So 6x is equal to 12. X is equal to 2. So my x-intercept is 2. I'm going to find my y-intercept. I should put an intercept here. That means I plug x as 0. So 6 times 0 minus 2y minus 12 is equal to 0. Negative 2y is equal to 12. Y is equal to negative 6. So my x-intercept is 2, my y-intercept is negative 6. So if I graph my line, if I say this is 2 and if I say this is negative 6, I'm simply going to join these two, and that is going to be my line. Alright, let's go ahead and work on problem 7. If I'm looking at the example problem, here we have carbon dioxide and the atmosphere, the temperature of the atmosphere. So the first thing you got to make sure is you got to know which is your independent variable and which is your dependent variable. So when I read this problem here, the carbon dioxide is affecting the temperature in this problem. So the carbon dioxide is the independent variable and the temperature is the dependent variable. That's why when you see the 317 is the carbon dioxide, 57.04 is the temperature, 354 is independent, 57 is dependent. So when you start a problem, you always have to know which is your independent and which is your dependent. Looking at this problem here, the literacy rate of the adult females in a country is 0%. The infant mortality rate is 254. When the literacy rate of the adult female is 60%, the infant mortality rate is 110. So write the linear function that models the child's mortality, f of x, per 1,000 for children under 5 in a country where X% of the adult women are literate. So it's already telling us that the X% has to be the women percentage of the adult women being educated. So here I have for 0% of the education, I have 250 for the mortality rate is 254. For 60%, I have 110. So here, the independent variable is the education, the percentage of education, and the dependent variable here is the mortality rate. And now let's go ahead and see what they're asking us. They're asking us to write a function f of x, where x stands for the percentage of women being literate. For me to write the equation, the first and foremost thing I need is the slope. I'm going to need the slope. Once I have the slope, I can go ahead and use y is equal to mx plus b form, or I can use y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1, the point slope form or the slope intercept form. But the first and foremost thing I need is the slope. But how do I get to the slope? What do we need to find the slope? I need 2 points. Do I have 2 points? Yes, I do. So the slope here is, the slope here would be y2 minus y1. So I'm going to take the first one as x1, y1, the second one as x2, y2. So y2 is 110, y1 is 254, minus x2 is 60, x1 is 0. So I have my m here. My m here would be negative 2.4. Once I have my m, I can use y is equal to mx plus b, or I can use y minus y1 is m times x minus x1. The question is, which one can I use? Either one is fine. But when I go back and look at the points, I see that I have a y-intercept. Because x is 0, this is my y-intercept. So I have my b is equal to 254, and I have my m is equal to negative 2.4. So why would I go through the pain of using point slope form? I'm simply going to plug in the f of x is equal to, remember f of x is nothing but y, so y is equal to mx plus b, right? That is the equation. And now they're also asking us to find the mortality rate when 80% of the females are educated. So they're saying that when x is 80, find the mortality rate. So I'm simply going to plug it in. Negative 2.4 times 80 plus 254. I end up with 62 per 1,000. So you can go ahead and see that as the education rate increases, the infant mortality rate decreases.